My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter and welcome to a weekly reading update. This is for week number 11. This is from March the 10th through March the 16th. And in this video, I'm just going to share with you the books that I read during that week. So I read 5 books last week, or finished 5 books last week, I should say. So very, very happy with that. So let's jump in and talk about them. So the first book that I finished was The Sugarloaf Mix-Up by Rosemary Whittaker. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I thought that this was really cute. So this is the second book in the Sugarloaf Bakery not mystery series, the Sugarloaf Bakery romance series. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. There's, I think, 7 books in total in the series. And this is the story about Abby and Chris. And this book takes place about 3 years after the first book in the series. So basically in this one, Abby comes back to the small town of Honeywell. It's somewhere in England. And she's there because her father had had a stroke and she is going to be helping her mum take care of her dad in his recovery period. So anyway, she ends up getting this job at the bakery. The bakery has done much better since, the first book and it's expanded and things like that. So she comes on as a baker. And there is a contest throughout, I think it's actually New Forest. The New Forest area of England is where this takes place. And there's like a contest throughout all the bakeries in the New Forest area. And it's called the Mix-Up. And they compete against each other to win like best bakery in the area. And that's where the mix-up part of this comes in. So when Abby comes back to town, she kind of gets, I guess, strong-armed into joining a online dating thing through Isabel, one of the ladies who works at the bakery, as well as her mum. And she goes on a couple of really bad dates, and after a couple of the bad dates, she meets accidentally or just unintentionally meets Chris. And Chris is our male protagonist in this story. And the two of them develop a relationship, and it's really, really cute. But he is a rival baker at another bakery. And when the baking contest starts, it seems that there might be people cheating, and she thinks Chris is like using her to cheat kind of an idea, and there's a whole, Anyway, it was cute. I liked it. I didn't think it was fantastic. Abby kind of bothered me a little bit, to be completely honest. I thought that she was like really, really jumping to conclusions with Chris. But what I did like was the relationship with her dad and how she was helping her dad. And, she noticed that a lot of people, when they would talk to her dad, to her dad, would be almost like, not babyish, but they would come to talk to him, but wouldn't know what to talk to him about. Talk about the weather or, the traffic. And like she says in the story, she's like, he never cared about those things before his stroke. Why would he want to talk about them now? So when she would talk to him, even though he couldn't necessarily completely talk back to her all the time, she would talk about what she did that day and, and ask him questions and see if he would nod or blink his eyes and I really, really liked that a lot. And there was a great bit in it too, where the mom, she encouraged her mom to go to her book club to get away and have some free time to herself. And the mother left this movie that neither Abby nor her father wanted to watch. And as soon as the mom leaves, Abby says, "Oh, do you want to watch like Alien or something like that?" And the dad's like nodding his head, and she would sneak him donuts. And I loved that. I loved that so much. But I really did not like how quickly she accused Chris. So yeah, anyway, I did enjoy it. I gave this one, for spice rating, I gave it a cupcake. Now, I do want to mention, though, that there is mention of her staying at his place. So it's implied that there is a physical relationship between them, but nothing is on page. But I wanted to let you guys know that, depending on what your level of comfort is in terms of your romance. So the next book that I read was Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls by Anna Martin. This is book number 2 in the Babysitters Club series. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. So much fun. So in this one, the babysitters, there is a phantom phone caller who is working in the area, and they call the house, and then when they realize nobody's home, they break in and steal the jewelry or whatever. So the babysitters are like devising these plans to, not catch them, but to keep themselves safe when they're babysitting. And Claudia and Christy are getting these very strange phone calls while they're babysitting. And it turns out that it might be some boys from school, spoiler alert for these books, but they're just so charming and cute. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I'm having so much fun rereading these. The next one that I read, yay, was The Cat Who Turned On and Off by Lilian Jackson Braun. This is the 3rd book in the Cat Who mystery series. I gave this one 4 stars. Side note, this one takes place at Christmas. So this is a Christmas story. You would never know it from the cover. It's not like a typical cozy from now where it's blatantly like a Christmas title and a Christmas cover, but this one does take place at Christmas time. So in this one, our main character, Jim Quilleran, is working still for the paper, the Daily Fluxton, and he is being given a new there's a contest going on to write the best story for the Christmas season, and he ends up in this place called Junktown, and it's an area of the town or the city that they live in. Now, the city is unnamed in this story, in this series. I've always thought of it to be like Chicago, but I don't like Chicago's mentioned as another city, but I think it's in that area of the U.S., like the Midwest kind of an idea. So anyway, Junktown is very well known in town as being like a place for antique people, like people who go antiquing, essentially. So he has this idea of doing like this series of stories of Christmas in Junktown. So he shows up there, there's this weird cast of characters, and somebody had been murdered before like back around Halloween, and he kind of starts investigating the murder, and then he's got nowhere, like he's living in a hotel right now, but it's not working out very well because of the cats. Because of Coco and Yum Yum, his two Siamese cats. So he ends up moving into a house in Junktown and figuring out the murder and writing this. It was delightful. I really, really enjoyed it. And this was originally published in the 1960s, so some of the stereotypes and things like that you need to take with a grain of salt. I always say that, even though I don't feel like I should have to, because I think we're all adults and we all know these things, but there are some people who might just need that mentioned. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy these ones so much. You meet a character in this story who makes appearances later in the series, Iris Cobb. I really like her. She's kind of an eclectic older lady and she's delightful. And yeah, I just love the characters in these stories, like, and they really are true characters. There's a photographer for the paper named Tiny, and he's anything but tiny, like a bull in a china shop, and they've got him photographing in these antique shops that are like crammed to the rafters with stuff, and like, you know, he's breaking things, and you know, and then some of the other characters who work in these shops, and it's delightful. They're absolutely delightful. I loved this so much. It was such a fun read. The next one, that I read was Colton's Killer Pursuit by Tara Taylor Quinn. This is the second book in the Coltons of Grave Gulch series. This is a Harlequin romantic suspense novel number 2124, published originally in February of 2021. I gave this one 3.5 stars, and this one has 2 chili peppers. Side note, I forgot to mention at the beginning, in the description box below, you will find the list of what the chili peppers or the spice ratings mean, just if you want to have a look for yourself. So this is the story of Everly and Clark. So in the first story, without giving too much away, Everly was accused of the murder of her husband and is exonerated. Is like, new evidence has come to light. She didn't do it, so she is released from prison. Or jail, I should say, excuse me. So, because she hasn't been taken to trial yet. So she was in jail. That's how it works, right? I think jail is before you get convicted and prison is afterward. I can't remember. Anyway, so she's released from jail. And she's only been out for like a day or two, and someone's already trying to kill her. So Clark is the brother of the female lead from the first book, and he is a private investigator, and he just happened to be at the grocery store while this woman tried to run her down in the parking lot. And so he agrees to kind of try and help her out. And you know, they try and find out what's going on. So my thing with this one is, and it's always the thing that I have with romantic suspense, I loved the story. I love the suspenseful aspect. I love trying to find out what was going on. But the romance in these is always so quick. Like, they literally just met. And, like, 3 days later, you know what I mean? Like, when the story ends, they're, like, professing their love for each other. So that's the one thing that always, again, you need to take with a grain of salt. Do you know what I mean? But the story itself was really good. Like I said, 3.5 stars. It was a fun addition to the series, and I really like this series. There is an overarching plot going on about, like, some guy who was working for this police department in Grave Gulch. It takes place in Michigan. Who may have been giving false evidence, or, you know, creating evidence where there wasn't evidence, or hiding evidence, stuff like that. And that's kind of the overarching plot for this 12-book series. And yeah, so anyway, I enjoyed it. And the last book that I finished for the week was The Truth About Stacey by Ann M. Martin, the third book in the Babysitters Club series. This one was a lot of fun. I gave this one 4 stars as well. So in this one, we already knew from book 1 that Stacey was diabetic. She is an insulin-dependent diabetic and has to very, very carefully monitor her food intake and all those things. This one also takes place at Christmas time, just in case. Again, it is not blatantly Christmas, but if you read the graphic novel, which I did about a year or so ago, you can clearly see that there's panels in the graphic novel that it's Christmas, and it does talk about Christmas, that they go to New York City over the Christmas, like just before the holidays, kind of an idea. So it's like between American Thanksgiving and Christmas time. And there is a new club or agency, the Babysitters Agency has come up, and they are trying to put the Babysitters Club out of business. And Stacey's being dragged off to all these new doctors by her parents who are trying to find a miracle cure for her diabetes. And she's getting annoyed. And I really appreciate this one as someone who was also who had a condition as a child, who had a medical condition, who spent a lot of time in hospital, a lot of time with doctors, appreciating the fact of knowing what it feels like. Now, the difference is that my parents didn't do that. We went to what needed to be done. They were never looking for a miracle cure. I was never put in a bubble, and like Stacey's parents are very protective, which I understand, but I didn't have that experience growing up, and I'm very, very grateful for that, and I think that that made a big difference for me. If you're a parent with a child with a chronic condition, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You do you do what you feel best as a parent. But I feel like what my parents did, and my doctors have confirmed this, that was the way to do it. They let me live my life. To an extent, there were certain things I couldn't do. I was never going to play contact sports. I was never going to be a long distance runner. But I did dance. I took swimming. I did gym just like everybody else. I went to school. I got married. I had a job. I had a life just like everybody else. And, nothing was different. I wasn't treated any differently than anybody else. And so I can appreciate in this one, Stacey feeling like, this kind of weird outcast because she's constantly being dragged out of school to go see these doctors and this and that and the other thing. And I get it. I absolutely get it, and I appreciate it. And as once, I think this was a great book for the time for somebody who may have lived something similar to appreciate. You know what I mean? So I did really, really enjoy it. So that's what I read this week, you guys. Short and sweet little video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these books and what did you think about them? And what was your favorite book that you read last week? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.